distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, dedicated participants, and respected judges. A very warm welcome to the virtual Ideathon, Volunteering for Sustainability, a hackathon supporting local and international efforts to protect our natural world. Over the course of the next couple of hours, each participating team will present the ideas they have been so diligently working on under the sub-theme Volunteering to Protect Nature, Land, and Oceans. For the challenge, how can volunteering support the long-term scalable protection of natural resources at the community level? Let's take this opportunity to thank the judging committee members who will use their expertise to assess the team's efforts and methods fairly based on international judging criteria. Allow me to introduce our judges for this sub-theme. They are Maitha Muhammad Al-Hamli from the Environment Agency, Abu Dhabi, UAE, Danielle Adugna from the African Union Commission, and Rahim Hassan Ali from VSO International. I would now like to share with you the participating teams who have worked tirelessly for the past 24 hours on solutions to the challenge. They are Climate Change Action from Botswana, Ecoyenia from Greece, Emirates Nature WWF from the UAE, Shelter Participatory Organization from Pakistan, and Volunteer Europe from Belgium. We will now begin the pitch rounds. Each team will have 5 minutes to pitch their idea, followed by a 10 minutes questions and answers session with the judging panel. Let's start with the Climate Change Action team. Please go ahead and share your slides.
The cry is real. In the scorching heat, dry and dusty, in the drying mud they are stuck. They seem to say, help. Introducing the Okavango Delta messaging alert. What if I tell you that help is on its way? The green team have the solution to convert dust to green. Yeah, wait a minute. Who is the green team? Climate Change Action, an organization founded on the principles of environmental rehabilitation, community development. It is registered in Botswana and it is on a mission to save the planet. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Dr. Calvin Machaya. They call me the Green Doctor. My team members are Science Shumba, the Science, Ms. Kutuano Machaya, Mother Nature. What's the background? Why is the Okavango Delta so unique? It is the largest inland delta in the world, but pouring in a semi-desert place. It is also a UNESCO heritage site, holding or sheltering different types of animals and varied species of plants. It is one of the only green places in the world where it doesn't rain, but it is green. It holds the largest number of elephants in the world. So what is the problem? It is drying up every year because of climate change droughts. Now, you talked about Delta messaging alert. What is it? Here comes the green team with the solution, dividing the Delta into zones, constructing a nursery, developing a messaging software called the ODMA in collaboration with local universities and local telecommunication companies. Geographic information systems will be used in the Delta, particularly the drone-based vegetation and water availability mapping, wildlife and biodiversity. The software will be calibrated to show the optimum luscious level of the Okavango Delta. The software is integrated with the local telecommunication companies. But how will that work? Seedlings from the nursery are used to regenerate depleted zones up to optimum levels. The ODM collects data from GIS. When the optimum level is depleted or compromised, it sends alert messages to relevant organizations. These organizations include the business community for funding, Ministry of Environment, conservation organizations, and Okavango community. This in turn will trigger like-minded organizations, particularly climate change action volunteers, to take action and regenerate the Okavango Delta again. What is our implementation plan? We have 4 milestones and 4 deliverables. Milestone A is community awareness and engagement. Data collection and also research. We will end up having commitments, collaboration agreements after this milestone. Then with milestone B, we have to mobilize the resources so that we have a nursery ready for seed planting, which is milestone C. Then at the end of the day, we have a complete nursery with seeds. While we wait for the seeds to germinate, we resource mobilize for our information technology. We acquire GIS, and our software should be ready by then. How are we going to measure the project? First of all, we use quantitative data. Then we also use qualitative data. GIS instruments will give us quantitative data in terms of populations. We can also physically measure distance and area regenerated and count the number of volunteers. Then qualitatively, we see the appreciation of the community and the booming of the tourism industry. We will need 30,500 to carry out this project, and we're going to monitor the project through progress reports, funder reports, and the feedback from the community. Now, this is the conclusion of our presentation. Will you not want to be part of the green team? Let's conserve nature. Imagine a green future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for this interesting pitch. And we will now move on to our judges for questions and answers. Please go ahead. Judge Maitha, Danielle, and Rahim, please, if you have questions, go ahead, unmute your mics and open your cameras, please.
Thank you for the very quick presentation and still very informative one. I just have one question in regards to the nurseries. I think the nurseries will play a big role in the success of this project. How will these nurseries be maintained? That would be my question. But I also have a comment of, I love the way you have looked at universities to integrate them in helping you find the best way to create these applications that will really be very key for the project. But my main question would be about the nurseries and how will these be maintained, because they will need a constant fund and a constant source of seedings that will be affected with droughts down the line.
Yes, thank you very much, Judge Maita. I'm very grateful for your comments. First of all, we do have land that is designated for this project, which is about 5.1 hectares. So what we intend to do is to drill a bore within that land, and then thereafter, when we drill the bore, we're going to prepare the land for seedlings and nursery. So the assumption is that some of the seedlings that we put in the nurseries will grow into big fruitful plants within the nursery itself and produce seeds. Then we will in turn also put back in the nursery, and then we use the bore water because the area has got a lot of underground water. Then we use the groundwater to water the nursery. I don't know whether I've answered your question.
Thank you very much. Judge Maitha, do you have any comments before we go to Judge Danielle?
No, I think the answer was actually very fulfilling. I think having a self-sustained nursery is key for this project, and that's what I wanted to hear, that there is a self-sustained factor in that nursery.
Thank you very much, Judge Maitha. Judge Danielle, you have a question?
Hi, good day, Calvin and team. Congratulations. This was a wonderful speech. So congratulations to you for that. I just have a question on the way I understood it, the scale. It's more as a pilot kind of project, or at least that's how I sense it from your presentation. What would scale look like for this project if it's implementation, and is it still the same team that is capable of scaling it big? And secondly, I think, unless I missed it, I don't think you mentioned anything about cost and your budget. What does your costing look like? Because all those elements, whether it's the telecommunication, the nursery, and the other events that you have planned would cost you something. And I didn't get the business model of it strongly. Thank you, Calvin. Over to you.
Thank you very much for the questions. Yes, the project is part of a pilot program for climate change action, because we work in the Delta and we work with some other organizations there. So what we are deciding to do is to divide the Delta into zones, because the Delta is like a hand with fingers. So what happens is when it gets inland, it splits in the desert with different streams like that. So what is happening is that the Delta is shrinking back into the hand in such a way that these fingers are drying up. So what we're going to do is to divide those into zones. Then we attack them zone by zone. So we would want to mobilize the community and also the university students, which is also a department in the Okavango Delta, which is called the University of Botswana Research Institute. So what we're going to do is to mobilize the volunteers and some other like-minded organizations to say, look, we are working with Zone A for this particular time. Then if we manage to upgrade Zone A into a level that is required, we go to Zone B, then go to Zone C, on and on like that until we achieve what we want to do. So I've talked about the budget on my slide on measurements, where I said measurement and impact. Maybe I was a little bit faster. I said we need around USD 30,500 to kickstart the project. We do understand that we're pitching for money that is less than what we need, but we, as an organization that is already running such kinds of projects, we can fund the difference ourselves or look for other funders to supplement the difference. We also do understand the fact that the Okavango Delta is a vast area of land, and obviously 30,500 is not enough. But having a system that is working on a particular area of land, that will give us an insight of the scalability of the project, so that when we go further into the other big areas or into the other zones that we have zoned, we already know that the problems that we are going to face are A, B, C, and D. Then we'll be prepared to monitor that. Thank you, Judge. I don't know whether I answered your question properly.
Thank you very much, Calvin. Judge Danielle, do you have any comments?
No, thank you, Calvin. I think you made it very clear. Thank you for that clarification.
Perfect. We have time for one more question. Judge Rahim, do you have any questions?
Hi, Calvin and team. That was a brilliant presentation, high energy, and I think the project is really very innovative, which I really was happy to hear. I think the questions have been covered. The one I did have was around the technology aspect of the project. With tech, as you know, from experience, there can be teething problems, but there's also ongoing maintenance. So there wasn't much in your proposal around the ongoing maintenance for the tech side. And I just wondered how you're looking at that, just to give you an opportunity to shed some light on that.
Yes, that's very true. Obviously, technology that is used in the forest or the desert is prone to damage through weather elements. So our first pilot project is to acquire geographic information systems, but particularly the mapping system of the vegetation and the water, and then the wildlife and biodiversity sensors, which are basically cameras that we are going to incorporate our software, so that the software collects data from there, and then it is integrated into the telecommunication systems for messaging. We do understand that it's very difficult to get internet connection in the desert and in the Okavango. That's why we chose messaging, because messaging, all these, there are about 3 companies, telecommunication companies. They have network coverage in those areas, even if there's no internet, but messages, they can reach them. So we believe that if we start this project right now, we're going to motivate other like-minded organizations to say, look, this is what we started with. If you can come on board and you help us to scale up this project in such a way that if the lifespan of the geographical information systems expire or is fully depreciated, we have enough money to actually replace them. So that will ensure sustainability of the project in such a way that we avoid desertification, we avoid the drying up of Okavango panhandles. So that's the plan that we have in place.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Calvin and team. Thank you, judges. And now it is Ekoyenia's team's turn. Please go ahead and share your slides. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Anthi, and I'm joining by my two colleagues, Vasilis and Lia from Ekoyenia, a non-profit in Greece aiming to build a national youth climate corps. We are honored to be here with you all and to present our big idea. Greece has 30 million tourists annually for a country with a population of only 10 million. Mass tourism is one of the biggest contributors to environmental problems in Greece, but it also contributes to over 11% of the country's GDP, a notable economic need. So, what can be done to protect the environment under these circumstances?
What would it be like if just 1% of the 30 million people visiting Greece completed a positive act for the natural environment they are visiting? Just imagine, that's over 300,000 people committing small or even big acts to protect natural resources. Our idea is to identify volunteer interventions at the local level that tourists, community members, and visitors alike can complete in order to make a positive impact on the environment. These interactions would be co-designed by local communities that rely on tourism to redefine their relationship with tourists. This will develop a more sustainable tourism model that protects natural resources. Ekoyenia is already convening, training, and mobilizing people in civic service. Through a customized digital platform, we can capture new audiences, including visitors and locals, to accelerate localized volunteer action for the environment. Users of our platform could scan QR codes at major hubs like the beginning of a trail or a notable beach entrance, and will see targeted volunteer actions that they can do to support the area while they are there. Again, just imagine if only 1% of tourists participate in this, this yields over 300,000 actions for the environment every year.
We already mentioned this idea with a few of our partners and they love it, even in a meeting yesterday with the mayor. So it will be easy to bring them into our big idea. This work will also happen with a larger network of national and international partners. We see our implementation happening in 4 key phases. If we were to win this competition, we will use the earnings to focus on the first 2 phases with the intention of continuing on. When zooming in, we have the following key milestones throughout the development and pilot tasting phases. These milestones will occur during our already existing programs to complement one another.
These are our 3 target audiences. We see each of them as critical stakeholders for our idea and have a targeted strategy for each. Ekoyenia's unique offering is to engage and mobilize civic service members to support this work. I am actually a cohort member currently in my service project and in a new leadership role. Part of my service work is to engage the community in these volunteer activities. And of course, our third target is to engage tourists to positively impact the places they are visiting.
So the main goal of this project is the preservation of natural ecosystems. Success will look like a healthy natural environment that is not damaged or negatively impacted by human interaction. To do this, we need to identify interventions for volunteers to make a positive climate impact, so people have the opportunity to be informed and active climate citizens. You can see here, we've indicated examples how to measure whether we've achieved these goals.
With your support and the initial investments of 25K in our idea will yield 2 years of work and will coincide with our ongoing program. You will notice here a significant investment in the platform to accelerate our work for scaling.
And our team is bigger than just the three of us. It's with this team and all the expertise we bring, alongside our advisors and board members, that we are confident we can deliver on this work. Ikoyanya means eco-generation in Greek. Our vision is to create a generation of active climate citizens working together for a sustainable and resilient country. Through this project, we've been able to reimagine who these active climate citizens can be, and we believe tourists and visitors are critical to ensuring we are protecting our natural resources. We hope you will join us in rethinking how we can create meaningful interventions across the world, and we thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Equinia team. That's really like right on time. Thank you very much for this insightful pitch. Judges, the mic is yours. Please ask your questions.
Thank you, Ecoginia. That was an amazing pitch. Very clear, very well defined and built. I just have two questions. My first question is, how big is the current community positive impact on the environment based on the platforms you're using at the moment? And my second question is, correct me if I'm wrong, I understood that you already have a current platform. Won't it be more budget friendly to use that current platform instead of creating a new one like you have pitched in phase one, that you will create a pilot platform? Just integrate the tourists into that one. That's the two questions from my side.
Thank you for the question. I'll start, and then if my team has anything to add, I invite them to chime in. So we are a relatively young organization. We've been around for almost 3 years now, operational. We've completed 3 pilot projects, and we are about to embark on our 4th. So we currently do not have a platform. So part of what we're pitching is to integrate a platform into our work so that we can have bigger impact when it comes to our ecotourism projects. So of our 3 pilot projects we've completed, 2 of them are focused on ecotourism. So trying to rethink what the tourism model can look like, especially in rural communities in Greece, so we can spread out the tourists and alleviate the hot spots, but also do that in a mindful way. So that being said, our impact so far, because we're still new and we've been piloting our idea through the civic service model, so mobilizing teams of young people like Anthi, to do this work in local communities. What we see as we're working with the Ministry of the Environment and Civil Protection, we're trying to advocate for scaling our baseline work, and within that, adding this platform to make the ecotourism impact even stronger. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, team. Judge Danielle, please go ahead.
All right, thank you so much, team. I really enjoyed your pitch as well. Quite interesting and exciting idea. I have 2 questions for you. The first one is that, has there been any feedback? You have mentioned different stakeholders and you have gotten positive responses, but is there any feedback from tourists themselves? What kind of tourists come there? Would they be interested in participating in such a thing? Because if I'm coming maybe to do swimming and you're asking me to do some other thing, in fact, tourists may stop coming, or different type of tourists may start coming. But actually, what actually my bigger question, you mentioned if 1% of the population does even participate, you will have about 300,000 activities that you'd have to manage. And that kind of scared me a little bit, because it means you have to generate 300,000 activities when people go on the app and see what they can do when they read the barcode and everything. Because sometimes even tourists, we know, even if they mean well, they can also cause harm. Instead of planting a tree, they can plant it the wrong way and all the trees around it may die and everything. And the minute you say that 300,000 people going through the vegetation and trying to do something to it, it could also have a negative impact. So I was just a little bit worried there if there's any mitigation or plan there. Thank you so much. Over.
Absolutely. I'll start with that question, and then Vasilis, I'm going to kick it over to you for the tourist question specifically. But thank you. It's a very thoughtful question. In general, a big paradox we have is thinking about how to make tourism sustainable, right? Because inherently, bringing people, having them travel and bringing them into these areas can cause issues. So it's an important thing to be thinking about. We didn't have time to talk about the platform in depth, but what we have in mind to alleviate this concern, I think, the way it would work is there would be activities explicitly spelled out based on the local community. So let's say you're in Mount Olympus National Park, which is where our next project is and what I'm looking at outside of my window. And you're hiking in Mount Olympus National Park. The interventions would be targeted, first of all, be created by science-backed data for what this community needs. So perhaps the intervention is staying on the trail, right? Perhaps the intervention is agreeing to a code of conduct to how to behave and exist within, a sensitive ecosystem. Perhaps on the beaches, if you're at a beach and you were to scan the QR code, the activity could simply be to avoid, right? Making sure you avoid and respect the areas that are mapped out for sea turtle preservation. But of course, there would be other more volunteer activities that are physical type of activities. So pick up a bag of trash when you go to the beach, pick up some trash when you leave, and you can mark off that you've completed that. So it's not about encouraging people to do whatever they want. It's about having targeted actions that are science-based and also community-led. So perhaps the community knows that there's one vista where people are playing loud music and it's disrupting a bird population there. Or perhaps there's not enough trash cans there and they need people to take their own trash. So it's really about keeping it super hyper-focused. And not necessarily actually the opposite of encouraging people to do whatever they want. And one part I'm very excited about within this platform that we could build is this code of conduct. So how to, exist again in these spaces to be respectful of the environment and the natural ecosystem. So I hope that answers that particular question. And I'll let Vasilis chime in about why we think tourists would be interested in this and how we will kind of reach them.
So in my other job as a mountain guide, I interact with a lot of tourists. I have seen that people want to learn and contribute to the area when they visit, but they don't know how. So through our idea, we will promote these opportunities for tourists looking for them. And we have a targeted digital marketing plan and outreach plan so that tourists can learn about the platform before they arrive, but also in every place that they will arrive, they will have QR codes and points of contact in their areas that we will visit so that they can easily participate. We know that at the start it will be a little bit slow or a little bit with a lot of information in the platform, but we believe it will grow quickly and we will have ripple effects to that.
Thank you very much, Judge Daniel. I hope that this answered your question. Perfect. Judge Rahim, do you have a question, please? The mic is yours.
Yes, thank you very much. Wonderful idea. I think it has great potential, and the proposal itself was very comprehensive. So I really enjoyed reading that. I had a number of questions, but I feel the one I'd like to focus on that might bring to life a different sort of component of this, which I think will be very interesting, is how with this activities happening, how will you bring the fun, the recognition, the celebration into these activities, which are vitally important, but also will end up recognizing and valuing the people contributing? And yeah, so how would you go about that? Or have you got any plans for that?
Yes, this is a very fun question. The three of us spent a lot of time talking about all the possibilities for incentives and thanking people for taking these actions. I can start with the really big vision where if we are able to scale this as we would hope to in 5 or 10 years, it would be amazing if at the major transportation hubs, at airports, bus stations, train stations, when people are entering a place, they enter the platform, they're recording their activities, and when they finish, let's say they've completed something like 50 activities during their 2 weeks in Greece, there's some sort of milestone they can hit where when they're leaving the country, let's say at an airport, they could receive their either prize, maybe a t-shirt or a hat or a badge or something. Or another thing we got excited about is where they could cash out this prize. So, I actually don't need a physical prize, but I would like to cash that in as a 50 €50 or $50 donation to an environmental organization in Greece. So it's an acknowledgement at the national level that those actions are contributing to something bigger. So that was where we went in a very, very big scale. But in the interim, using Mount Olympus National Park as the example where our next pilot is happening, we would do something smaller. We have access to, a kiosk in the center of town that we will be based, and we'll make ourselves very visible with again, these QR codes. And after people are finished with their experience in the national park or leaving the town, there would be some smaller prizes, perhaps a small gift certificate to a local partner who's eco-conscious in the village, so we can also promote that economic activity. Perhaps it's, again, a t-shirt or a badge, but also celebrating people, again, just through our online presence on social media, and trying to do some amount of social media engagement through hashtags and where we can also reshare their stories and the actions they're taking. So from starting small to dreaming very big, that's kind of the different levels we were thinking about. And if my team has anything to add, please.
Thank you so much, Leah. The time is up, and I hope, judges, that the team has really answered all your questions. Thank you very much. Now let's hear from Emirates Nature WWF team. The mic is yours. You can share your slides, please.
Hi everyone, I'm Faiz Anwar. I'm part of the outreach team at Emirates Nature WWF. I'm joined by my team members Tejasvi Prakash and Nuha Mohiddin. And I just want to take a moment for you guys. I want you to remember a moment you really cared about nature. I'm willing to bet it's a transformative, experiential memory, something where you were out in nature, something tangible you could smell, you could touch, you could feel. I think very little of us remember something in the classroom or maybe something we watched on TV. So this idea of experiential learning is key and it's vital to our idea, the Citizen Scientist Network. Now, the other key factor to this is the citizen science element. It's empowering the community to be scientists. You don't need a PhD, you don't need to be in the lab to contribute to real science projects. So we want the community to understand what goes on behind the scenes. Now, a nice quote from Benjamin Franklin: "Tell me and I will forget, teach me and I may remember, involve me and I will learn." So the way we are going to provide these two elements to our idea is to give a prescriptive toolkit that allows any member of the community to lead their own event. At the same time, they're going to be contributing to real conservation projects through technology, as Emirates Nature is a science-based organization. But what project will they be contributing to specifically for the pilot phase? Now, does anybody know what this tree is? This is a really important tree to the UAE. It's the Avicenna marina, the grey mangrove. So it's culturally significant to us, but why should the rest of the world care? Now, it's got a plethora of reasons why these trees are incredible species. One I want to bring notice to is this carbon storage. It actually stores twice as much carbon per square meter than the Amazon rainforest. So these trees are not only beneficial to the UAE, but for the whole world. However, they are undervalued and at threat. Due to rapid industrialization and urbanization, it is vital we protect these natural resources. Now, at Emirates Nature, we already do provide planting services, but we go further beyond that. And actually, it's about habitat restoration. It's about monitoring these mangrove trees and understanding what makes a site survive. Now, we do that through volunteering. So we already have proof of concept, but we can also have more hands on deck. So currently, we can monitor about 6 hectares of land per year. However, with our proposed network, we should be able to monitor about 20 hectares of land just within the first year of the program. Now, the two different types of impacts we're going to be looking at is nature, like what is the impact on nature? And it's very scientific based. And the other one is the community. What effect do we have on the community? What effect did the network have? And this has a very social science-based approach. Yet we have KPIs that are robust that will describe both these types of impacts. So how is this network structured? We have a tiered system where we have absolutely no limit on the citizen scientists within the network. In fact, the more the merrier. And the community leaders are the ones that will be running these events within their own community. Now, we will pilot this with 40 members in the first phase, but the nature ambassadors that have been already handpicked will oversee the events. So over a long term, we should be seeing mass transformative behavior change. How do we get these numbers? We want to spread this message, get involved. Anyone can be a citizen scientist. So, of course, in the age of social media, we're going to use all the platforms available to us and influencers to spread awareness. We want to tap into our existing community platforms and, most importantly, leverage partnerships and collaborations. So what might that look like? I want to focus mostly on the community-based organizations such as Emirates Foundation. We already have a nice partnership with volunteers.ae. Maybe a way we can bring community members to list their events on their platform. And also the Ministry of Education would be a very amazing collaboration, as we can use the National Qualification Centre to accredit our course. That way it provides an incentive for joiners and also makes it more credible. Now, this is a quick timeline of what it's going to look like. We have different phases: the pre-launch, the recruitment, onboarding, and empowerment. And this is how much we're roughly going to project the cost. So most of it is going to the outreach section, and some of it going to the manpower cost, of course, the creation of the kits as well. So just to summarize, by providing an interactive toolkit and certification for community leaders and volunteers, we envision exponential growth in data collection, influencing policy decisions, and fostering a sense of environmental stewardship. Anyone can be a scientist.
Thank you, Fayaz. I'm sorry, I'll have to stop the pitching for you as time's up. Thank you very much. Let's see if our judges have any questions. Please, judges, the mic is yours. Go ahead.
Thank you, Fayaz, for the presentation. I just have one question, and I think it's quite similar to the question my colleague had in the previous presentation. We know how the community wants to be positive in their impacts, but how will you ensure that that impact is positive? Sometimes when the power is given to the citizen scientists, things get out of hand. So how will you make sure that they have the correct tools, the correct knowledge, and I emphasize on knowledge of the local environment before setting them out with these tools? Because not much is known about the UAE's environment. Even people, locals and expats living in the UAE for over 30 and 40 years do not know what is there, and sometimes a sense of panic happens. I'm sorry, I'm talking very specific because I've seen this happen firsthand, especially in the UAE. How will you make sure that that panic doesn't happen? And we've seen it a number of times with the sea snakes, with the jellyfish, which is known and common in the area, but most of the citizens around the area, even long-term citizens, do not know that this is there. So how will you make sure that they have the proper knowledge before giving them the tools and letting them, setting them free, let's say?
It's a great question. Thank you, Metha, for that. It's really based on the toolkit and how comprehensive it is. It's almost like when you have a restaurant franchise, how do you know that this franchise that breaks off is going to have the same recipe and going to deliver the same sort of quality? So this toolkit is designed for it to be a step-by-step process, and it lists every single detail that's needed, all the information you need about the mangroves, all the potential health risks, litigations, mitigations, all of that will be listed. And also, because this mangrove monitoring event has been done before by Emirates Nature, we already have a very detailed activity plan for it. We have the proof of concept. We know that it works. It's just a matter of now giving it to trusted community leaders, which I think is worth noting, that these community leaders, whilst anyone can be them, they do require a self-assessment, so like some sort of quiz, and a workshop training where they go in person to the field, and so they know exactly what to do on the day. So it's not totally everyone that is a community leader, but they can apply. So to be at that level, you must have all of the knowledge already. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you very much. Judge Danielle, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Fayaz and team, from me as well. Just quick two questions. One, your intervention focuses mainly on training, right? It's a training-based intervention. You don't actually work directly in the environment. Correct me if I'm wrong, just to clarify if I understood very well. And secondly, at the moment, you are at a pre-launch level, right? You have not yet started your operations. Am I correct? From the time charts that you presented? Thank you, Fayaz.
No problem. Thank you. It's a good question. In terms of where we are at with the current project, in fact, because we already do these events, there are many proposed community leaders that we can already target and communicate. They have the potential to do this wide scale. Now, our ambassadors are actually already handpicked, and they are fully capable of running these events already. So it's not a case of this is completely new from scratch. In fact, we can actually implement this straight away. But it's not also just training. It's this idea that it's for the community, by the community. But we still have our ambassadors involved in running the actual events, which would be, in this case, mangrove monitoring. But the toolkit can be scaled up to so many different events. So, for example, we could have a litter spotter event where we, categorize the amount of litter and therefore influence policy for that. So the possibilities are endless in terms of the toolkit. We've just decided for the mangrove one for now. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you very much, Fayaz. Danielle, do you have any comments that you would like to add, please, Judge Danielle, or all good? Okay, perfect. Judge Rahim, your turn.
Hi, thank you again. Thank you very much for your presentation. I wanted to maybe bring another element into it by asking the question is around inclusive volunteering or inclusive engagement. So we all know that volunteering or community leaders that would be invested in this already, we've already sold a sort of idea to them because they're active, I guess, as active citizenships within this area. How through your experience in projects like this and for this project, how would you maybe reach out and engage underrepresented groups to build sort of a bigger, wider community, more inclusive community around these types of projects?
Yeah, another great question. I think our outreach initiative, and which is why that budget element was quite high for the outreach section, is to reach those marginalized societies as well. Currently, we are targeting schools and universities. We already have a big network that we can currently contact, and we do have some experience with some schools. I used to be a teacher personally, so I know for sure that there are teachers that are willing to take that on and take their school kids out for these trips. But in terms of the outreach plan, I think using social media to reach out to these marginalized communities is definitely the way forward. And having this citizen scientist network, that we've called it a network for a reason, is that it's this spider branch, and once the ball gets rolling, it's this snowball effect where we'll be reaching communities we didn't even have any idea we could have reached. And that's the aim in the long-term plan, is to just spread out and exponentially grow.
Thank you very much, Fayaz. We still have time for one more question, judges. Please let us know if any of you have any more questions.
Since there is time, how will you differentiate this from other citizen science applications that are being run in the UAE? As you know, we have a few of these.
Yeah, it's a great question again. And I know Emirates Nature have the citizen science projects. I know Environmental Agency Abu Dhabi also have the PPSR projects as well. How is this different? It's empowering the community to take action. It's really putting the volunteers first and allowing them to create their own networks and not really having to rely on these organizations to run events for them. It's truly giving them the power to take action. And like I said before, the long-term strategy of this is to just see impact across the country.
Thank you very much, Fayaz. Any more comments? Judge Metha, Judge Danielle, and Judge Rahim. If you have anything else to add, please let us know. All right, we're good. Thank you very much, WWF team and judges. Thank you very much. So we will now take a break and we'll be back at 5:15 UAE time on the same viewing channels. Please stay online, keep your mics muted and your cameras switched off. Thank you very much. We will be back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Let's continue the pitch rounds with the remaining teams. Shelter Participatory Organization team, please go ahead and share your slides. Shelter Participatory team?
Yes.
Yes, go ahead, Samreen.
This is Samreen Khan Gauri from Shelter Participatory Organization. My team member is Ms. Aisha, who is environmental engineer, and Ms. Ruma, who is outreach specialist. Basically, as SPO is a community-based organization which is working on SDG and climate justice through awareness, capacity building, and mobilization. Our project idea is basically protecting ancient river Indus eco-friendly bricks initiative. The objective of this idea or is the project is to mitigate environmental hazards by creating eco-friendly bricks from plastic, electronic waste, and river sand while engaging young environmental engineers for clean green community. So what is the problem? The problem, basically, the Indus River of Sindh, Pakistan, is the second most polluted river in the world in terms of plastic concentration, according to the report of UN. This pollution severely impact and damaging the quality of river water and the ecosystem and the millions of people across the country who are living at the bank of river, depending on the water to consume for drinking and agriculture purpose. The ancient Indus River has the 8,000 years old history of civilization, which world known as Indus Valley Civilization, and it is the national and the largest river in Pakistan. So basically what we are going to do, Meher Ali, a slum area which is situated at the bank of river in Hyderabad city, its population is 10,000 people. So Meher Ali slum area basically is a garbage dump side of river city of Hyderabad, where ton of garbage of plastic waste collection reserve dump set on the fire that cause environmental pollution, also hazardous for river Indus, its marine life and human to consume. So SPO take this issue or problem as an opportunity to engage young environmental engineer of the University of same city, Mehran Engineering University, to practice their academic knowledge and helping community to manufacture eco-friendly bricks out of the plastic waste. So the indigenous community of Meher Ali mobilized and volunteering to collect waste for bricks manufacturing, clean up the bank of river Indus, get livelihood from manufacturing and selling eco-friendly bricks, enjoy pollution-free environment, and river Indus and its ecosystem can be protected from plastic pollution. So this is the solution we are proposing. How we do that? We actually have a great working relationship with Mehran Engineering University, and their engineers, environmental engineers, we are going to engage in this project. And the idea basically already tested and piloted, and we already through the process of manufacturing bricks, eco bricks, and we have all the stakeholders on hand, like environmental engineers, we have community people, we have government, we have a municipality government, and we have a indigenous community itself. So all the stakeholders work together and make something out of nothing. So in the side you can see that how the manufacturing process and what is the ingredient of the bricks. In the next slide, I would show the real pictures of the manufacturing process. So this is the process. We can collect plastic waste. We in the through process, shredder collection, and then melted. We have a we have a eco friendly brick. The most important thing that how we sell it and how we manufacture, how we sell it, and how we exchanging method we are using. People of the community volunteer will collect plastic waste, and our team of engineers and social mobilizer utilize the waste in making blocks in machine at which is installed at Mehran University site, and manufacture the eco-friendly blocks. We are using exchanging method, like they are submitting waste, and we create eco bricks, and they sell, and in the return they will find cash. So team SPO align community people with retailers and wholesaler of construction business and local municipal government to purchase these blocks for local construction. We implement a quality control process for the production. We regular taste bricks for durability, strength, and we actually financial tracking of keep detailed records for the financial aspect of the initiative.
Thank you
including
very much, Samreen. Unfortunately, time's up, but that was so inspiring. Judges, please go ahead with your questions.
All right.
Thank you.
This is the actual site. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. Truly, your project is quite inspiring. My question is, have you tested the durability? You say that you do some tests and quality control, but have you actually tested the durability? How durable are they? How can they be used? Can they be used just like normal bricks, or there are some restrictions because of the quality of the bricks? This is one of the questions I had.
All right, this is the very important question. Yes, we have collaboration with experts and institutions who are specializing in sustainable construction material to ensure the quality and safety of the eco-friendly bricks. That's why we are connected, and we are going to engage university of the university and the department and the engineers who actually piloted and practiced these eco-friendly bricks manufactured, through the process of durability and checking the consumption of eco bricks, they are like ready to market it. Yes.
Thank you very much, Samreen. Judge Metha, I hope this answers your question. Perfect. Judge Danielle and Judge Rahim, please go ahead. We start with Judge Danielle.
Thank you so much, Samreen. Thank you for coming today and presenting your pitch. Enjoyed it as well. Just one question. If you win here today, what are you going to use the win for? What are you going to use the funds for?
Yes. We actually utilize the funds for social mobilization. We utilize the funds for training of the social mobilizer volunteers and the engineers, and we utilize the running cost of the machine, because the machine has already installed, but there is some services charges that we can utilize. It's a huge machine, and it needs to be maintained every month. So an amount is allocated for maintenance of the machine, and the traveling cost of the because people get into the field side, they collecting waste, and our volunteers and our project team is also monitor for the whole activity. Also, there is a awareness session, awareness component of this project, because it's not just a practical, but it's a momentum building project as well, because we are going to advocate municipal government and the construction industry to use these eco-friendly bricks. So there is a whole process of advocacy and lobbying as well. So yes, we have this plan already planned these activities and the funds we are going to use.
Thank you very much, Samreen. Judge Rahim, I can see that you are ready with your question. Please go ahead.
Yes, a very impressive project, and yeah, I thought it was the proposal was very well refined. I think one of the things I'd like to ask and like to know a little bit more about is in the project proposal you talked about the active participation of communities and a youth engagement program, which I think was quite unique. But I don't think there was enough of that in your proposal. So could you expand and let us know just a little bit about what how these activities, what you see these activities as bringing to the table, and how you sort of widen participation and scope through these pieces.
Yes, luckily we have a clean green community pilot project since last year. We already like in a process of a community led project of climate action. So actually we are scale up and expand this social action initiative into this eco-friendly bricks initiative. So we have a community engagement in that. We have a awareness of awareness of the indigenous community who are living. So the lobbying, the awareness, and the advocacy with the community people to get them engaged to actually take part of this volunteering and clean the site of bank of river, get
Samreen,
eco-pics from
we
the.
couldn't hear you, Samreen. Maybe you can go back a little bit and just repeat what you've been saying because there was a cut off. I don't know if it's with me only or with the other teams.
Yeah.
Judge Rahim, please confirm if you could hear.
It was a few seconds that we missed the when you were talking. So yeah, if you can just repeat.
Please, Samreen.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, we have a clean green community initiative, which is we started last year. So the clean green community initiative is a we actually intended to realign, expand, elevate scope of this clean green initiative into a eco-friendly bricks to protect river Indus. So we have a good social engagement in the community, and just we need to convince people of the community, indigenous community, to save their river by themselves, and we just provide the facilitation and a technical expertise of the young environmental engineers, their expertise, their technical knowledge, so that they can have something on hand from the waste material.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Samreen. I hope this answered your question, Judge Rahim.
Yes, it did. And just another comment, just really impressed with the partnerships that you've already set up already, and also the very detailed budget. So thank you and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We still have time for one more question. If any of our judges would like to ask one more question, please go ahead. Anyone? Judge Danielle, Judge Metha, you're good? We're good? Okay. Thank you very much, team, and thank you very much, Samreen and her team. Thank you, judges. Now it is your turn, Volunteer Europe team. Please, you can share your slides.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, honored judges and esteemed guests. Welcome to Volunteer Europe's pitch, Rewilding Connections. Before I begin, I would like to introduce my dear colleagues, Maria, a sustainable food educator from Spain, Margarita, a climate activist from Portugal, and of course, myself, I'm Philippos, I'm an applied math student from Greece. As you may have noticed, we are all from Mediterranean countries, which have all suffered from heavy, continuous, and severe droughts, wildfires, and biodiversity loss these last couple of years. What our countries also have in common is that a significant part of its young population is worried that they will have to move to another country due to climate change, with Spain and Greece reaching roughly even 30% according to a study conducted by the European Investment Bank. These realities, amongst other factors, lead to eco-anxiety and other mental health-related problems. And this is where we come in. Have you ever heard of the song that goes something like, New York, concrete jungle where dreams are made of? Maybe yes, maybe no, maybe it's my bad singing, but I'm sure you may have heard of the phrase concrete jungle, which is often used to relate to heavily crowded urban areas. Well, we think of them a bit differently. We think of heavily crowded urban areas as concrete deserts. Being in a heavily crowded urban area, we are often alienated from nature, which is especially true for a city like Athens, the place where I live, which has the least amount of green area out of all the European capitals after Valletta. Our solution? Rewilding connections. How, you may ask? Through an oasis. I'm certain that most of you will know how invaluable the oases were to caravans traveling through the desert, which were in desperate need of a source of water and a place where they could recover their energy. This is exactly what we want to do in Athens, a concrete desert. We want to establish an oasis, an eco-hub, a place where people can come together, build a community, engage in gardening, and plan their climate actions such as reforestation and other field trips. Additionally, we will develop a toolkit that will essentially be a guide to the construction of the oasis and will allow other organizations to replicate our model and so enable scalability. The toolkit will also provide its users with a way whereby they can utilize innovative technologies such as geomapping to discover the regions most in need of rewilding and which have suffered the most under recent catastrophes. Our oasis will allow participants to mitigate their climate anxiety and climate-related emotions through their active participations in our projects. We will easily be able to track and measure our impact and progress through surveys and quantitative data about projects, engagement, allocation of funds, as well as feedback loops. To achieve all this in accordance with our implementation plan, we will first look for the desired space, select the main group of volunteers that will help us transform the space, engage key stakeholders and build our toolkit and design workshops, and last but not least, start connecting with our community to mobilize the youth for our cause. Multiply our efforts, we will also look for help in local NGOs, government institutions, and in partners that we already have a work relationship with through our organization, Volant Europe. In order to engage our community, we have developed an outreach plan where we will first research our target group, take advantage of popular communication channels and social media, and ask our partners to share our message on their platforms. Now, after all of this, you may reasonably wonder how we plan on financing everything. For this, I can say that we want to use 15% of the budget for volunteering-related expenses, that is transportation, food, water, 20% for rewilding activities, so seeds, tools, and other agri-food instruments, 5% for consultancy fees, 20% for toolkit development, 30% for renting and transforming the space, and 10% for backup funding just in case something goes not as planned. So that would sum up our proposal, and I now hope that I have convinced you that we need to rewild concrete deserts and turn them into concrete jungles so that dreams can be finally made of again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Philip. That was really very interesting. Thanks to you and to your team. Now, judges, over to you with your questions, please.
Thank you so much, Philip. Mashallah, you sound just like Alicia Keys. The project is amazing, and I do believe in the need of having these pockets in cities. But I have two questions for you. The first question is about the legality. Do you have the policies and legislation in place to support you in creating these oases or pockets within the cities to make sure that you have, but I don't want to say ownership because that's a big word, but you guys have the ability to control that these areas are legally or under some policy protected so that the effort is not going to waste. And the second question will be, how will you outweigh economic gains versus these oases? As you know, most of decisions are taken based on economic gains. And this is why we are in this situation when it comes to the environment. So how will you be able to outweigh these economic gains and make sure that these oases are more attractive for investors, for stakeholders, and also for the government itself and the municipal bodies instead of looking at economic gains? And these are my two questions. Thank you.
Thank you. So these are both wonderful questions. And to this I can say, on the one hand, since I think it is an innovative idea because at least to my knowledge, there is nothing like that I've seen around my city or in Greece in general. So on the part of the legislation, I'm not that well informed. However, I'm pretty confident that we will able to pull it off for two main reasons. The first reason is that also that's a positive sign for me, that the currently newly elected mayor of Athens is also an engineer at my university. So I believe that we also have the technical knowledge available and the connections to kind of start the negotiations and get the help that we need for them to foster this kind of establishment of this oasis. And the second thing is that also the partnerships that are also in place that will help us grapple with, let's say, policy decisions and all this, the bureaucracy. And I have previous experience because I was part of a 1-year-long project in Athens with another organization that aimed at developing a service for a partner municipality of Salamis that had a severe environmental problem. And we were aiming at addressing this issue while also looking at social inclusion. And during this 1-year program, we also engaged with the local youth councils. So there are many pathways and, let's say, avenues available to us to get help with the legal part, and also to help us kind of make fast track, let's say, the establishment of our oasis. So the second question regarding how we can make this trend, or let's say this concept, something more trendy or something more that would look attractive to investors, that is also a very good question. I think this will have a twofold option. It will depend on the motivation itself of the volunteers and the people working there, and what sort of actions we will be putting out, and the impact we will be having. So we need to really make sure that we will be putting value in or out, have a significant output. And the second thing is that it's dependent on the people, in the sense that there are already some sort of cooperatives, not in the style that we are aiming for, but some that have been in place in Athens or in other regions that already successfully managed to kind of balance profits and kind of something more ethical and more sustainable. So we will look also at the track history of similar, let's say, endeavors that will allow us to mimic the successful best practices, but we will extract for them what we like, but we will also, of course, improve, innovate, and build upon our idea, which we think adds significant value to the community in place.
Thank you very much, Philip. Judge Metha, did Philip answer your questions?
He did, but I was actually looking for, Philip, you can always look at it this way. The oasis will increase value for the adjacent properties or adjacent communities or adjacent, which you can use as leverage.
Amazing, yeah. I will write that down as well. Thank you so much. It's a great idea, yeah.
Thank you very much, Judge Metha. Judge Danielle, to you.
All right. Thank you, Philippos and team, and congratulations for the presentation that you made. I just keep asking myself, so who would be your immediate competition? Because I would have thought a lot of cities can tell you, but we already have green parks and green zones in our cities. And would it be worthwhile to invest in such oasis, a concrete oasis? And given the cost factor and everything, and wouldn't let's say the mayors or the local authorities just simply tell you, okay, can we not focus just on making our parks, already existing parks, more greener and invest there more? So how would you defend against these kind of, let's say, counter questions? But also, is there a prototype, or has this been tried where you can demonstrate that yes, definitely it is worth the investment, the idea, the local community likes it, so that you can sell it to all the mayors, be it in the Mediterranean region or even as a good practice all over the world? Thank you, Philippos.
So Maria, I see you want to also jump in, but I will give what I have on my mind, and you can of course compliment me and add to that if you think I lack anything. So to come to your main to the first question regarding the can you repeat it? Sorry, I lost the.
Maybe I can
train.
jump in and then you can compliment me if you want. So he was asking about who are our main competitors and why would, for example, town halls would want to invest in this and not just use the parks that are already existing and transforming them. That's a great point, and I agree that if there's already existing parks that have green areas, that would be great to expand them, but it's not just creating a green area,
by creating a community around that green area. So not only a place where you can go and hang out and have green grass, but also A, develop the biodiversity of the park, and B, create a space for humans to have activities and have workshops and raise their capabilities in general. Do you want to add anything to that, Philippos?
Yes, of course. Thank you, because my mind blacked out for a second. Yeah, no, what I want to add to that, I think, is a significant point, which is also that this hub itself will not only enhance, let's say, the percentage of green space available in the city, but it will also serve as a nexus point where people can gather and plan their rewilding or specifically reforestation actions around the city. As already mentioned in the pitch in the beginning, the immediate area around of Athens, specifically Evia or Evia, is an island which is close to the coast of Attica, has suffered severely the last couple of years under wildfires, with losing even more than 500 square kilometers of vegetation. So there will be an immediate and direct effect of people who may be able to go, which is not even that far away, to those regions under the guidance of, as I said, the toolkit and other professionals to do these reforestation actions. And we also believe that this will significantly contribute to the preservation or the prevention of further biodiversity loss, since it is important to not just plant whatever trees, as was already mentioned before and discussed in this session, that we have to plant the specific trees that are matched to the region and the flora and the fauna of that specific biome. So this is one of the most important things as well of this oasis. It will not be a space in itself, but it will also be a means whereby people can come together and then carry out their actions further. So this is for the first question. And regarding the second question, if you said, has this been tried before? To know if it's going to, let's say, resonate with the people. Well, as I said, to my knowledge, it has not been directly tried, since why I think it's so innovative. So there's always a risk when it comes to innovation, a trade-off, let's say so. However, as I said, there are similar kind of cooperatives or kind of, let's say, communities trying to balance some sort of ethical practices and sustainability, or some other industry maybe, with profits and revenue. And so, as I said, I'd like that we can try and extract from them the best practices or mimic their patterns in terms of that kind of mode of production or, let's say, behavior, but build on it further, expand on it, try out what we can, and always adapt on the way and see where we can go. So this I would say. And I think, and also when it comes to the motivation, I also think it really would resonate with the people, given that, as I said, there's a very large portion of the young people, especially in Greece, due to it being a Mediterranean country so close to the sea, that really is worried about the climate, and there are often protests or other activities like on other organizations going on, such as the one I mentioned I participated in a year ago. So I think it really would have.
Thank you very much, Philip. I'm sorry, I have to cut you here.
No, of course.
Just to give us a chance to Judge Rahim to ask his question very quickly. Please, Judge Rahim, go ahead.
Yeah, so Philippos, thank you for a thorough presentation. I wanted to give you an opportunity to maybe talk about things through the lens of technology. So how what would be the use of technology, and what would be the benefits of use of technology integrated within this project?
Mm-hmm. Wonderful question. I was actually hoping you would ask that. So we have also heard that a bit previously, I think, but we want to utilize geomapping and include this as a kind of a guide in the toolkit. What I mean by this is that we want to also utilize open source, possibly geomapping. If not available, then collaborate with other partners that would allow us to map the region, the immediate region in the first step around Athens or Attica, and try to measure and let's say list all the key indicators that kind of give us a rough estimate of the health of the region. And when we have these key indicators, we will try to kind of extract out a sort of pattern, or let's say, as I said, also guide that will allow also less specialized professionals or like volunteers to be able to go out and see for themselves where this kind of action is most needed. So the use of technology in the first place would come in as a kind of tool that would allow us to gauge the situation and the danger, where is the action most needed. And we would ideally, in the second phase, as I said, try for less specialized people, for volunteers, to do this kind of gauging themselves, go out there and by simple kind of indicators, try for themselves to measure where kind of impact is needed. And so they could also feed that back into the system for other people to know.
Thank you very much, Philip. I hope that you were able to answer the question, Judge Rahim. Hopefully that Philip answered your question. Thank you, Rahim. Thank you, Maria. And thank you to all your team. Thank you, judges. Now that concludes the pitching session. I would like to thank all the participants for sharing their inspiring ideas, and of course our judges for their valuable questions. Now, but before we close the session, I would like to ask everyone to now turn on your cameras for a group photo, please. Please turn on your cameras. Let us see your faces. That's great. I can see many screens. I can see many faces, beautiful ones. Ruma, Fayaz, and the rest, please open your cameras so we can take a photo. Okay, everyone is ready? All right. On 3, 2, 1, smile. One more time, just in case. 3, 2, 1, and smile. That's perfect. Thank you all. It was great seeing you today, sharing your passion towards volunteering to protect nature, land, and ocean. We wish you all the best and the greatest success. Live streaming will now come to end while the judges enter a private session to determine the winner of this theme. We will be announcing the results very soon, and we will be back at 5:15. Please rejoin us when we will reveal the results of the competition by again visiting Emirates Foundation's YouTube channel and the Ideathon website as shown on the screen. Thank you all. Once again, we are ending the session now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.